If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Betty asked, I have grown leeks for years, but lately they've all gone to seed or bolt. What's going on?
So basically, the leeks are planted when it's cool, and then it gets hot.
And it gets cool again. So it goes in shock.
Yeah, it goes into shock, basically. It kind of confuses itself.
And leeks are biannual, so they'll produce seed the second year. So you plant them early, it's cool, it gets warm, then it gets cool again. The leeks think it's in their second year of growth because they've gone through a cold cycle, and then they put seed pods on. So it's not really a whole lot of... You can plant them a little later in the year, so you only get that cool into warm cycle, and you'll be okay.
Okay, so should I, number 2 here, should I transplant peppers into the garden when the soil temperature is 70 degrees? And should I put a row cover over them then? And yeah, so you can keep them, 70 degrees is fine. We've done it at 60, 65, and they've been fine. There is no reason to put a row cover over them at that time.
Yeah, just full sun is what the peppers require, and plenty of water on a regular basis for that. Let's see here. Here's a unique question that we got in this week I wanted to address. I have a rutabaga that's sprouted, that I sprouted. I feel bad and didn't want to throw it away, so I put it in water. Now it's growing atop and has sprouts. Is there any way I can plant it? No. Well, here's what you can plant it.
You can't, because
so we're going to go by Ben Bartley. He is from Standard
so that means that what will happen is when you plant it probably won't put a root on, but
the root will actually decrease in size because the energy will be put into the sprouts in order
so
to...
it'll make seeds for you. So then you can get more rutabaga seeds. So you're not being counterproductive. You are being productive, but it's not going to grow a rutabaga.
I would caution anybody that does something like that because you don't know the variety, you don't know where it was initially grown, you don't know what genetics it may have in it. It's a good experimental process, but I would just caution to a little bit, especially people want to do that with onions as well. And if you are trying to save seeds from an onion you got from the store, it may be a short day or a neutral day onion, and you're trying to grow it in the north or vice versa. You're not going to know the variety, and that's going to be the bad portion or the bad end result on this.
Something eat my tulips? This is another question. Maybe rabbit, squirrel. Any thoughts?
Definitely it's rabbits. Rabbits love tulips, and they will devastate a tulip crop very, very quickly in your garden.
So you could try something like Bob-X?
Bob-X would be a good thing. Some people will cage their tulips. I know it's not the most pleasant-looking, appealing thing, but you get to see the tulips before the rabbits devour them, so that's always a positive.
So this is my first year planting tomato, or to treat the soil. Before planting tomatoes, I came across something regarding Epsom salt and tomatoes. Could you please elaborate on that? Yeah. So Epsom salt is not... So a lot of times people add Epsom salt because they think that it's going to increase the calcium to prevent blossom end rot. That's not true. What you want to do is just continually water. So be consistent with your watering. A lot of times calcium gets locked up in the soil because you're not consistently watering. So you want to make sure that you are consistently watering. Get yourself on a watering schedule 3 times a week, whatever you want, and then go from there.
But Epsom salt is very, very good for blossoms. It makes very large blossoms on fruit and flowers. So you can apply that according to the recommendations you find online. So it's not a bad thing to add to your garden soil in recommended quantities. If I transplant some watermelons and squash outside, should I put a row cover over them or not? Well, the answer to this is simply watermelon seeds indoors. You want to plant them if you're going to do it indoors, which we don't recommend. We recommend just direct sowing them outside. 6 weeks before your spring's last average frost date. The seeds would germinate in about 10 days when the soil gets to 65 degrees. So you shouldn't have no problem getting them to sprout indoors. You need to put a row cover on them or a low tunnel apparatus if you're going to intend to put them outside early on in the season to try to get a jump start. The fuss for us, we recommend just putting them right in the ground or conditioning a straw bale and growing them in a straw bale. But you can do it. Roxann would like to know, what should the day and night temps be before planting my cool weather crops out that you speak about? It's more about the soil temperature at root zone.
3 to 4 inches below soil grade than the actual ambient temperature. So as long as your soil temperature is in the range of 40 to 50 degrees, you're going to be fine to put out your cool weather crops. Make sure you've hardened them off, and they're good to go, and the temperatures are going to be steady. It's not going to be 80 degrees one day and 20 degrees the next day. Our next question is from Roger from South Chicago, and he wants to know how much nitrogen is required to grow sweet corn in his backyard. So we're going to go out to Ben Bartlett. He is from Standard Process Farms. Standard Process is your trusted whole food supplement manufacturer for over 90 years. To help identify the best supplements for you, find your local healthcare professional today. Go to standardprocess.com/patient.
Hi, this is Ben Bartlett from the Standard Process Organic Farm. And today we got a question from Roger in South Chicago about how much nitrogen it takes to grow sweet corn. Nothing tastes quite as good as fresh sweet corn, especially if you put the time and energy into growing it yourself. Sweet corn is a grass, and it tends to produce more crop the more nitrogen you give it. But keep in mind, all that nitrogen doesn't have to come from adding fertilizer. Make sure that you put a legume crop in ahead of where you're going to plant your sweet corn, something like beans or clovers or vetches. That can provide a lot of sweet nitrogen for that sweet corn without adding extra fertilizer. Any other amendments you can make to that soil, like compost and micronutrients, they're going to help that soil give back more nitrogen, or as much nitrogen as it can. Don't forget that adding those micronutrients can get you a sweeter and tastier crop. And then the final tip on growing really good sweet corn is that you've got to have consistent watering. Making sure that crop doesn't dry out to the point that it stops growing and starts to wilt. That will help with that efficient use of all those nutrients you put down. And in the end, you're going to end up with a sweeter, tastier crop.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.